Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr here today with some sliding window holiday cards featuring the new Sunny Studio Stamps September release. I am incorporating the sliding window, which is one of my favorite products from Sunny Studio that was released at their last, or a product from their last release. But I think it's super relevant for holiday cards as well, and I thought it would be fun to create these cards that have pop-up elements on the front of the sliding window, and you'll see what I mean. Let's start by die cutting our window, that sliding window mechanism, from a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch pattern paper. This pattern paper is from the latest release from Sunny Studio, and it's fantastic holiday colors and patterns, really super fun. This panel is going to completely cover the front of an A2 sized card. You could use the sliding window. I wouldn't recommend going much smaller than 4 by 5 1/4. So this is going to completely cover an A2 sized card, the panel I'm creating, but you could create that thin white border or whatever color base your card is around by trimming it down a little bit. But you still want to have enough room to put some adhesive around the edges of your sliding window mechanism and put it on your card. So here I used the tab die, which you don't have to use, but I do think it makes it a little bit easier to do the pull mechanism, and then the window. And we're going to score this on the fold lines, the score lines, and then I like to use a bone folder to secure that so you can see it folds up, and then kind of like a little tint, and then the little flat folds at the bottom. Then we're putting a piece of adhesive. I like the 1/8 inch score tape right on that little bottom edge. That's the only place. And then I'm going to turn it around just to make it a little easier. And then I'm going to place a piece of white cardstock, whatever you want your pull tab to be. Mine is white cardstock that measures 3 1/4 by 5 inches. So when you grab this and pull, it pulls that sliding window up. I just think this is fantastic. It's really one of my very favorite products that has been released. Creating these kind of cards by hand was such a pain. For this card, we're going to use the Warm and Cozy dies, brand new for the September release from Sunny Studio. I absolutely love these. You can build stocking caps, mittens, mugs, and there's all the accessories you could need for them. Now, I cut the pieces for all of this out of the pattern paper, the new pattern paper pack, but for the mittens and the mug, I die cut them from white cardstock as well, and then layered my pattern paper onto the white cardstock to make them a little more secure. Because these aren't going to lie flat on a piece of paper and instead are going to pop up, I felt like they needed that little extra security. I did not create extra layers for any of the accessories. So the little contrasting trim on the mittens, the heart for the mug, the coffee in the mug, none of that. It's all just going to be straight pattern paper. The only 3 pieces are the mug and the mittens. Then before I ever attach this to my card, I'm attaching all these pieces together. And I thought it would be fun to have the mittens holding this mug of hot chocolate. I'm adorning the mittens with, again, that contrasting striped trim and then some little die-cut snowflakes. There's hearts, there's 2 sizes of snowflakes, there's pom-poms, all kinds of cute little accessories for whatever you choose to use from this set. But I love this die collection. I think it's super, super cute. And I originally was going to use a red heart for my mug, but I thought blue, the aqua, contrasted a little bit better, and I'm so glad I picked that. I'm using an acrylic block to just help hold that liquid glue down, hold this in place until this is nice and secure. And then I'm going to take some little rhinestones from Honeybee Stamps to adhere to the center of my snowflakes. Now I'm only putting adhesive on the bottom of these mittens and placing that right below that score line in the middle of the sliding window, if you can see that. And then I'm putting my acrylic block on top and letting the glue dry. This is so when you pull that pull tab, the mittens pop up when the window folds. I think that's a really fun way and a really fun interactive way to create these sliding windows. I've created some before that have a flat panel on the front, and this is just another way to get another kind of look with the same dies. Now, from another company's stamp set, this is the Heffy Doodle Interactively Yours stamp set. I stamped Pull Me at the top, and then along the bottom, I'm going to stamp a little gift for you, and I'm stamping both of this in red, and I'm so sorry that I'm out of the frame of the camera for this. On the second card, I'm using these stamps again, and you'll see that a little bit better, but again, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I was so low. We're going to take our Ranger Multi-Matte Medium, add those rhinestones to the center of the snowflakes as I was talking about a minute ago. And then add the little marshmallows to this mug. So this is kind of, I'm thinking a mug of hot chocolate. You can make it a mug of whatever and maybe not use the marshmallows if you want it to be coffee or tea or whatever it might be. But I love that there's the option. I think these are so cute and perfect for winter and holidays. I'm going to put a little glossy accents over that heart on the mug, and that will give it a glossy raised finish when dry. Now I need some sentiments for my card, and I decided to pair the Greetings die with Merry Christmas from the Polar Playmates stamp set, which was a release from last year. So I'm going to use the Merry Christmas from that, and I'm going to mask off with a piece of Post-it tape the exclamation point after the word Christmas, because I don't want that. I want it to read Merry Christmas Greetings. I don't want it to have that punctuation at the end of Christmas. So I'm inking it up with a clear ink. I'll remove my mask, stamp my sentiment, sprinkle on a little white embossing powder, heat set that, and trim it into a thin strip that I can adhere to my card. This is another example, I know I've talked about this in another recent video, of being very conscious of what cardstock I use to create these little strips. I love using these little strips, sentiment strips. I use them a lot, but I think black would not have worked here. Black is kind of my go-to, but lately I've been experimenting with other colors of cardstock, and in this case, gray is a great basic and a great kind of neutral, but it doesn't overpower the design. Especially with this kind of white on white snowflake background we've got, and then all the color, I think black would have been really glaring. I think aqua would have been cute here as well. Just kind of depends on what you want to use for your die cut greeting. In this case, I'm using a silver glitter cardstock, so I thought that the gray of this cardstock would work really well. I adhered some silver glitter cardstock. This is the Lawn Fawn Holiday Sparkle Glitter cardstock. To Fun Foam with stick-it adhesive on both sides, which makes it a sticker. And then I'm using my scissors to kind of help pop it out. It die cuts all the way through. I use the Spellbinders Platinum die cutting machine, which die cuts beautifully. But the Fun Foam has a tendency with these delicate scripty greetings to want to hold on to them and not release them. So I like to just use the tip of my scissors, a piercing tool, the tool-in-one from Spellbinders, to help remove that. And then I'm using the tip of my scissors to kind of punch out any of those little areas inside the letter E's, the R, G, all of that. And then I want to adhere this to my card underneath the word Christmas, but I want to make sure that the top of the T does not overlap my already dimensional greeting that I attached with some foam adhesive strips there, the little Merry Christmas. I want to make sure it's kind of tucked underneath, and I just want to gently lay that down until it's in the right position. And just to give it a little extra security, I didn't think the G was probably as sticky as it should be. I probably touched it with my fingers a little too much. So I'm just putting a little dab of glue underneath the G and also the S. And that's going to give me that security in knowing it's going to stay put. Don't forget to add the little top of the eye. I did try to punch it out because it did stick into my die when I die cut it with the tool-in-one, but it didn't want to come out. It's so teeny tiny. And I did put a little dab of glue there because I feel like it needs it for that, to make sure it's nice and secure. And then I'm using my acrylic block to hold that down while it dries. So here's how that window mechanism works. I'm going to put a little bit of foam adhesive around 3 sides, the 2 sides and the bottom only. And then we're going to secure this to a white top fold card base. You don't want to put the adhesive right next to the sliding mechanism because you don't want it to stick. So give it a little bit of room, a little bit of wiggle room. Look how easy that is. It reveals the little window inside. Perfect place to tuck a little gift card. I did trim off the top of my pull mechanism, that slider, because I didn't want it sticking quite up so high. And finally, I am going to finish my card by taking some more of these rainbow rhinestones from Honeybee Stamps and adding them to the center of the snowflakes around my design. This is going to kind of finish it off, add some additional sparkle, additional interest, while still keeping the focus of the card on those pop-up mittens. So imagine tucking any kind of gift card inside. You could definitely add one maybe to the recipient's favorite coffee place or tea place or whatever it might be, restaurant, or even add in a gift card to anywhere, because I think this card just is a fantastic way to give a gift card to someone at the holidays. Add just a few more of these little rhinestones. They just finish out the sparkle and the holiday feel of this card. And this card will be all finished, and next we will work on a very similar style of card, but this time we're going to use the stamps and coordinating dies to create a little pop-up wreath. So let me add a couple more of these rhinestones and I'll show you again how that sliding mechanism works. So much fun. This is the Happy Owlidays Wreath and Owl, also brand new for the September release. We're going to create this just like we did before. I have my panel die cut from a piece of A2 pattern paper cardstock from that same pattern paper pad. And then I placed my 3 1/4 by 5 inch panel behind. I did trim it off already. I used my paper trimmer. Stamped Pull Me and a little gift for you with some red ink from that Heffy Doodle stamp set. And this time I'm going to add my foam adhesive first. You can use a regular adhesive too, like a score tape, if you want it to be more flat and not have the foam adhesive. I find I prefer the adhesive. I think that little bit of dimension gives the slider a little more room to move. Plus, when adding a gift card inside, it gives you a little bit more room for that gift card. So just a little tip, if you're going to use it for a gift card, the foam adhesive is great. If you're maybe just going to write a sentiment or a message inside, you would not have to add the foam adhesive if you don't want to. So I've added that to my white top fold card base. I've stamped the wreath and the owl from Happy Owlidays on a scrap piece of smooth white cardstock, using Hero Arts Intense Black ink, and I'm going to color in my images with Copic markers, starting with the reds for the Santa hat and the bow and berries in the design. I'm using R35, 37, and 39. And I'm just going to work my way around. I did try to color everything that was red first. I did sneak in with YR04 for the beak of the owl. And we're going to add that great dimension to the bow, darken it up there towards the center. This is my favorite red color combination. I've mentioned it before in videos, but I've kind of switched the reds that I've used for whatever reason. This was kind of my quote-unquote fall red color combination, but I've transitioned to using it for winter-themed cards as well. I really like these colors together. I'm going to be using another of my new favorite color combinations for the wreath itself with some G82, 94, and 99. This is another great green color combination. It's a little deeper and darker than what I've used in the past, and I really love it. Now, one thing about coloring this wreath is I did not worry about being perfect. I wanted a lot of kind of texture. I didn't want to overblend. So I'm going down with my G82 and I'm not even coloring super perfect here. Leaving a little bit of white is okay. And then I'm going in with G99 and adding some dark areas. And then I'm going to go in with G94 and blend a little bit, but not overblend. I'll just kind of trace over the G99 to give it that dimension, but again, not overblend. I want lots of texture and I want lots of different color to show through. I will use the G82 in a couple of spots that I felt like were maybe a little too glaringly white. But other than that, I did not overblend. This wreath is probably one of my favorite wreaths from a company. I think it's awesome. I love the design of it. I love how full it is. It's the perfect little size. I think it would be great on like a door die. I know that a couple companies have some really fun doors, and I think this wreath would be cute on it. The owl is colored in one of my favorite color combinations, E40, 43, 44, and 49. I love these colors. Just kind of mixing them all in, darkening with E49 in a few areas. It's used pretty sparingly. Around the eyes and the belly are mostly E40 and E43. The rest of the owl is E43, 44, and 49. A little bit of warm gray for the stocking cap brim and pom-pom. However, that's going to get covered up. I've really been into using the Marvy snow marker lately, and I'm going to add some texture. And then some blue, green in 11 and 13 to make a red and aqua scarf. I die cut these with the coordinating Happy Owlidays dies. And then I'm taking my Marvy snow marker and I'm going to just dab the product onto the pom-pom and the brim of the cap. And when you heat set this, it puffs up and adds texture. I've been using it a lot. I think it's really fun. I've had this for years and I off and on use it, but I especially love it for holiday themed cards, and it's just super, super fun. Now, I didn't think that it had quite enough product at that one side, so I just added a little bit more. When you heat set it, you can watch the magic happen. It starts to puff up as it dries. So, so cute. I'm going to take a black pen now. If you follow me already, you know that I always go in and add detail to the eyes for critters and people images. I think it just finishes off their sweet faces perfectly. And while that dries, I'm just going to work on adhering my owl to the wreath first, and then we'll attach the wreath to the sliding window because we again need to make sure we only put adhesive under the bottom part of that image. And then once the black on the eyes has dried, I'll go in with a white pen and add in that highlight so that the eyes are complete. So I put just a little glue on the bottom of my wreath, and we want to center that, but just adhere the glue part below the score line. My acrylic block is my best friend. I use it all the time to hold down stuff while it's drying with liquid glue. And then this time I want to use a sentiment from Happy Owlidays. And again, I'm going to use that greetings die. And we're going to mix these together. I'm going to stamp my greeting again on some Simon Says Stamp Smoke Gray cardstock. And it's a long horizontal greeting, but I'm going to end up trimming mine in half. And I left all of this in the video. I wanted you to see it so you could kind of know the process for how I went about adhering this to my card, or why I did what I did, because I do trim it in half. And part of that is it's so long, it does fit the window of the sliding window, but the loops in the G's in greetings are going to overlap my sentiment and make it hard to read if I buddy it up the way I like to. If I want to leave it pretty far apart, it's not going to bother it. But if I want to have it kind of squished together a little bit more, which is my preference with sentiments, it doesn't fit very well. So let's trim this into the strip. Let's get our die cut greetings so you can see what I'm talking about. Even just the die will show you. And I'm going to go in and add those white highlights to the eye before I forget. And there's how that works. You can see the wreath pop up. I love that. I think it's fun. I am going to real quick go in with some glossy accents on the bow, the beak of the owl, and even the berries on the wreath, because I want that to start drying while I work on the rest of the card. We've got some die cutting to do and adding in the rest of the sentiment, plus a little stamping on the rest of the panel to finish it off. So the word greetings, this time instead of die cutting it from fun foam or from glitter cardstock or regular cardstock attached to fun foam, I am going to die cut the word from Lawn Fawn Chili Pepper cardstock 3 times and stack them one on top of another. I really prefer my greetings to have a little bit of dimension, but this is a great option if you don't have fun foam or stick-it adhesive. This is a fantastic option to create a dimensional greeting, or it's just another option. If you, from the side, don't want to see that white of fun foam, if you want it to just be colorful cardstock, this is a fantastic way to do that. So I'm going to stack 3 of these greetings, one on top of another. Again, I'm just using that fine tip applicator on the Ranger Multi-Matte Medium to glue them one on top of another, and then we'll glue them to our card right underneath the wreath. And I'm just popping out the little areas. I know it's off camera, but I'm using my tool-in-one here to just pop anything that's sticking inside the loops of the G, the R, the E's, the S, all of that. I'm just popping it out with my tool-in-one and then gluing them one on top of another. And I just want to make sure that they're lined up perfectly. And I like to go kind of slow and just very, very gently put them in place. This is actually a really quick process. You can stack as many die cuts on top to create the dimension you want as you like. My rule of thumb is generally about 3. Sometimes I will do more just depending on the project, but it's most of the time it's 3. So I did 3 today, and the dots of the eye all stuck in place, so I just left them in the cardstock for now, and I'll come back. And I add a little bit of glue, and then we're going to just pop these out and attach these, again, one on top of another so that they are dimensional as well. Now I glued the word greetings down in place already, and I'm going to take my sentiment strip, and you can see how it's just not going to work. If I kind of tuck it underneath, it's too long, it's going to cover it up. If I put it down too low, I don't like how that looks. So I decided I'm just going to trim it in half, and we're going to create a couple of rows that are sandwiched between the loops in the G's. And I like this so much better. I think it fills in the space nicer, and really is just perfect. I'm adhering these with some foam adhesive just like I did the last card. And then to finish this off, we are going to take the small and medium snowflakes from Happy Owlidays and stamp these with red ink. This is the Lawn Fawn Lobster red ink throughout the design. And I'm just scattering them kind of all over, overlapping the window in areas, placing one down below, down the sides, up at the top, all over the place. You could do this before as well. It probably would have been a little easier, but I didn't think of it until I got to this point. And here's how this window looks when it's all finished. Oh, and I did add Nuvo Crystal Drops in White Blizzard to the center of my snowflakes for some sparkle. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for these sliding window holiday cards featuring stamps and dies from Sunny Studio Stamps. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Sunny Studio Stamps that you might be interested in. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, I'd love you to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.